Hi everyone, welcome back to Jolie Knots Crochet. I'm Crystal and today we are going to be doing a pattern roundup. Last month I didn't do a pattern roundup. I was working on a whole bunch of patterns for wearables, working with testers, and it kind of just got away from me, so I figured I'll just do January and February together and you guys probably wouldn't mind, right? Okay, so in January I did a lot of small items. In February, I did a lot of wearables. So starting in January, we first worked textured fingerless gloves. Now, these gloves are super simple to make, beautiful texture. Different colors I made. I also did write a pattern for these, so these are available in my Ravelry, and I'll leave the link to the YouTube tutorial down below. And then I also did a textured hat. So I explained in the video how to size it differently for an adult or a child. This one I made with one mandala cake, but using from the inside of the cake and from the outside of the cake. So this one's double-stranded. They don't match in color, but they definitely do match, so you can make them both in the same color. And of course, everything I go over today, I'll leave the link in the description box. These were the first ones that we posted in January. So we started off the year with the fingerless gloves and a matching hat. Those are in two separate tutorials. There's not a written pattern for the hat. It was more of a how to size, and then, you know, just this really simple unisex textured beanie. And then of course the fingerless gloves. The next set of gloves that I made were the Knitty gloves. Now we just made this with the camel stitch. Super simple, so it had that knitty look to it. We did them in a multicolored, a solid, and then even in a really, really thick, bulky for those really, really cold places. There's a written pattern available on Ravelry for $2 on this if you don't like video tutorials. But these were really nice to work with. They're super cozy. The fit is really great. I live in Southern California, so we don't get a lot of cold weather here. So I try to make things that I can still use while it's cool outside, maybe in the mornings. And that's why I have a lot of fingerless gloves and not like mittens. So I'll leave the link for the description box below in these also. The next thing I made was this Techno Huron Infinity scarf. Now this one is super simple. Really what this is, I call it pink leopard just because I feel like it is kind of like a pink leopard type, but this was really just what to do with that textured yarn where you don't make a design with it because it's super simple, and you don't really want to cover the design because the yarn has its own texture in it. So this one was just made really simple with double crochets. This one was for the Ice Yarns Challenge, and this is an ice yarn also. I think that the biggest part of this one is really just showcasing that yarn that you have that you can't really put a design into, or the design is just covered up by the busyness of the yarn. So this one worked out really well. And the other scarf that we made was the heart scarf. Now I do have an entire collection of this. This is the With Love Granny. I have an Afghan, I have a shawl, we have a scarf, we have a the Afghans are in two different ones, corner to corner and also in the rounds. So one goes in the rounds, so there's that whole collection. And I was working on a lot of heart things in January, getting ready for Valentine's Day. So this is the scarf, and then we also did a shawl. So here's the shawl. I made mine in white, super simple. This one's with a 3-weight yarn, but of course you can make this with any yarn that you like. I just bordered this with single crochet and put some tassels on it. The Afghans have a border to them that are optional, of course, that you can choose to use that border or just do something simple. So this one was also in January. And the other heart shawl that I made in January was the Hearts Aligned. Now it was just a super simple puff shawl that kind of came out like little hearts, just aligned in lines. I didn't put any tassels on it. I just wanted it to be really simple. Like I said, it doesn't get too hot here. Something to cover my shoulders, something for like cool nights out is what I wanted. I don't wear a ton of shawls, but I know a lot of people do. So that one is another one that was released in January. The last heart project that I made in January was the Heart Beanie. Now this one is just a simple white beanie. One for my daughter, one for me. So it was in 2 different sizes. And we just put the red in there to create the hearts. All right. So again, I'll leave everything in the description box below for you guys. In January, I also did a tutorial for the blanket stitch. Now the blanket stitch is a pretty, I'm not sure I would say popular stitch, but it's just a simple stitch that is very well known, that works up rather quickly, and I wanted to do a cardigan with it, something textured, something a little bit warm for my daughter. I have an adult one in the works, but I'm not sure it's going to come out for this season. We're getting really close to spring. I really want to get started on some spring and summer patterns. So I think I might set that one off to the side and maybe release it for next fall and next winter. But I did do the blanket stitch tutorial in January and then released the pattern for the cardigan in February. So I did make 2 of them with 2 different kinds of yarns. So this one's for my daughter. It's really simple. It's just the blanket stitch of the body, half double crochet in the arms, and a half double crochet border. So I do like to make my wearables really simple. Intricate patterns are beautiful, of course, but I'm still really kind of learning to write patterns so that they're understandable. I've been crocheting for almost 30 years and I'm a left-handed person, so I didn't really learn to read patterns. I didn't learn to write patterns. I just kind of freestyled everything and just made it up as I went. And I always got asked for patterns. So actually making patterns, I'm doing super simple things so a lot of people can read them. And of course, as I'm getting more educated and more experienced in writing, they might end up going, you know, a little bit more intricate as time goes. But it's just the blanket stitch. And this one is a long cardigan that I made for my daughter, and then I also made a short one in this maroon color. So this one's a lot shorter. And she does wear them both. I actually had to go search them down before the video and find them in the cars where she left them. The next wearable that I did in February, it got really popular. I made one back in, I think it was October. I didn't write a pattern for it, but I did make a tutorial. I wanted to write a pattern, update the tutorial. I wanted mine to be a little bit longer, so I got testers. We got a lot of different sizes, all the way up to 4 and 5X. And then I also made a child size. So this is the Batwing sweater. If you watched my Ice Yarns unboxing video, then this is the one I was wearing. So Batwing, as far as it's super cozy and the arms go wide, it sits just about where my elbow is, and it's got a wide boat neck. Now, some of my testers left their neck a little bit open so they can wear it off the shoulder. I like to make my patterns extremely customizable for everybody and explain to you where you can customize for length, where you can customize for whatever is comfortable for you. I customize most of the patterns that I work on, so I want everyone to be able to do that also. So this is the Batwing sweater. That's the adult size. That one was also released in February. And then I have the child size that I made my daughter, which I will be making her another one, mostly because she is growing really fast and she's tall. So I want her to be able to have another one, maybe in a lighter yarn. I might do one in a lighter yarn for a spring and summer. Now this is a 3-weight yarn, so it's not super heavy. It just works out really nice. Batwing for the kids. One of the other wearables, I released this one in January, was the Crystal Hooded Coat. So I named it the Crystal Hooded Coat, not necessarily after me, it just happened to be a coincidence, but because I thought that the texture and the design looked like little crystals. It does have a hood. I did make mine oversized for myself, so it was really nice. When I washed it, it almost became bigger. You know how that works out. Your stitches relax, everything kind of opens up a little bit more. I made this one as a size 2 to 3X, and now I'm kind of wearing it like every morning as a robe. Super warm. We used a bulky 5-weight, and it does have the option for pockets and a sash. So that is the Crystal Coat with the hood. All right, that's the last wearable. The last thing that I want to show you guys is another popular video that I released in February. This is the Puff Garden Shawl. This one did become super popular. It is a really gorgeous design with lots of really amazing texture. If you haven't made one of these, definitely check it out. I started making a second one with some ice yarns in the Magic Glitz. I got through one skein and then I kind of stopped, only because I felt like the color change kind of drowned it out the actual texture and design of the shawl. So I didn't finish that one up. Maybe one day I'll finish it, or maybe I'll frog it and just make something else. But that one is Magic Glitz. Comes like this from Ice Yarns. We got a cake the other day if you had watched the Ice Yarn unboxing that they sent me. That's it for January and February. Today, which probably by the time I release this video will be yesterday or the day before, I did release the Lana Beanie. I released the Lana Beanie in 3 different sizes. Now the texture on this is absolutely marvelous. We have an adult size, we have a child size, and a smaller child size. That one is live also. This will be included in our March pattern roundup, and hopefully by the mid to mid-end of March, this one will be released. This is the 2x2 V-neck pullover. It is currently in testing. This one's worked in a vertical rows going down, similar to the one that I'm wearing now. I don't have a pattern for this. This was something I made long before I ever thought about writing patterns or YouTube. So I did make something similar, which is this one. Excuse the ends. I still need to weave in the ends and, you know, finish up testing and still actually finish up the rest of the filming. But I make it pretty seamlessly. You can't see where the arms start and the body ends. Of course, there's that nice V-neck in the front. And this will also go up to 5 extra large. We have pattern testers all the way up to 5 extra large on that one. If you have any ideas or something else that you really want to see a tutorial on, let me know in the description box below. Other than that, everything I've shown you today from January and February, I will leave also in the description box below. Thanks everybody for watching. Jolie Knots Crochet. Again, I'm Crystal. We are on Instagram, Facebook. We have a Jolie Knots Crochet community on Facebook. Join us and show us what you've created.